Hi, everyone, and welcome to our very first episode of our podcast brought to you by KGS Business Consultants. My name is Dimple, your host. I'm thrilled to be launching this episode on our YouTube channel with plans to expand to other platforms in the near future. Today, we have a fantastic guest for our debut episode, Ana Ferlan. She is the director of franchise development and franchisee at Hello Sugar. Hello Sugar, it's a fast-growing beauty brand that specializes in expert body waxing and sugaring services. So with a focus on quality and comfort, they're quickly becoming a top choice for beauty-conscious clients. And they also offer an amazing franchise opportunity for those who are looking to enter the beauty industry with a supportive and established business model. So my friends, in this episode, we'll dive into Anna's insights on Hello Sugar's journey, their franchise opportunity, and what it takes to succeed as a franchise with such a dynamic brand. Anna, thank you so much for being our very first guest. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today. I've been actually really excited to dive into Hello Sugar because let's be honest, who doesn't love feeling confident and smooth? But before we jump into all things waxing and sugaring, I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey. How did you find yourself with Hello Sugar, and what drew you into the world of beauty and franchise development?
Absolutely. Thank you for the introduction, Dimple. It's a pleasure being on your podcast today. So, I have been with Hello Sugar for 4 years. I actually started with Hello Sugar as a receptionist, which you will no longer hear at Hello Sugar. We are completely receptionless now. And then I was a salon manager. I managed a few locations in Phoenix, Arizona, which is where we're headquartered. And then slowly just started wearing quite a few different hats with Hello Sugar. We did start franchising back in 2021, except we didn't really start franchise development until 2023. So about a year and a half ago was when we started franchise development. I was the director of sales that we did everything in-house then. And I also acquired a franchise in San Antonio, Texas, which is kind of how I got started. So really wore a few different hats, and this is where we're at today.
That's really nice, Anna. So, what I really find interesting is how quickly Hello Sugar is growing. From what I've seen, it's not just the services, but the whole vibe of the brand that stands out. So, for those listening who might be curious, what can you tell us what makes Hello Sugar such a unique opportunity for people who want to step into the beauty industry?
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, Dimple, earlier, I think what really makes Hello Sugar unique, and it's kind of grown and blown up to what it is today, is not only the leadership and obviously the founder, Brigham Dallas, and so forth, but I think really the culture and the values that Hello Sugar really hones in on. We're huge on culture and really transparent communication, radical transparency, et cetera, et cetera. And so because that's really, I would say, drilled into our culture at Hello Sugar, we all stand for that. And you can see actually about 80% of our leadership team are also franchisees. And so we're really putting our money where our mouth is, and we really believe in the brand. And I think because of that, because we want to see franchisees thrive and so forth, that's really what's gotten Hello Sugar where it's at today. But I think some of the unique advantages outside of, hey, what differentiates Hello Sugar from competitors? Well, the main thing, you touched on it earlier, is we're a waxing and a sugaring concept. And so waxing is obviously a normal wax concept. You apply wax, you rip it off. There's also a soft wax. But sugaring is an organic form of hair removal. And so it's only made of water, lemon, and sugar. And so it's healthier for more sensitive skin as well as finer hair. And so because Hello Sugar offers that under one roof, and we just launched laser, but I won't jump too much into that, but we're very innovative. And so there's a lot of things that I think are really unique to Hello Sugar, client facing, specifically the fact that we do offer both waxing and sugaring, in addition
Mhm.
to our AI and technology. We're a tech company that really hones in on hair removal. and reception being one of those. I mentioned I started out as a reception and now we are completely receptionless. And
Mhm.
going receptionless, not only did we see an instantaneous response drive with clientele, clients don't have to wait to hear back from a receptionist. As a franchisee, I don't have to worry about a receptionist quitting on me or calling in sick because I have an AI who we trained for 2 years, and it's just really robust. Saw a lot of efficiencies with that.
Wow, that's really impressive. So Anna, every brand has an ideal partner, right? Someone who just gets the brand's mission and values. I'm just curious, what is that perfect fit for Hello Sugar? What qualities do you think make a great Hello Sugar franchisee?
Yeah, I think someone that's driven, someone that understands technology, has the ability to review KPIs, those key performance indicators,
Mhm.
and make strategic decisions to lead their team. We're really looking for a leadership. Hello Sugar is truly the only executive model I think you'll see in any franchising, because if you really think of the beauty industry as a whole, you have reception, which is really important. How are my clients getting booked? Who's taking care of that? Hello Sugar takes care of that for you. You have marketing. How am I getting clients in the door? We take care of all the marketing for you. It's all done in-house. And Brigham Dallas, our founder, actually has a background in marketing. So really, really solid marketing. And then education. I'm not an esthetician. I would say most of our franchisees are not estheticians either. We have a lot of male franchisees. How are my estheticians being educated? How are they being trained? Hello Sugar has that. We have an e-learning platform, Hello Sugar University, as well as on-site training for
Mhm.
staff. And so really, your main franchisee candidate we're looking for is, can you lead a team? Can you look at those KPIs? Can you make strategic decisions for that? Can you
Mhm.
hire on time? Can you fire when you need to and make sure that you're staying on top of those?
So, Anna, you don't really have to come with beauty industry experience. You can just, because you'll be trained from A to Z at Hello Sugar.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had zero beauty experience, contrary to popular belief. And Brigham Dallas himself, he'll tell you the story. And if you haven't heard a podcast with Brigham already, I'm sure Dimple, you'll get him on here soon as well. But he always starts by talking about the numbers were really what brought him to starting a hair removal concept. It wasn't the waxing. He knew nothing about waxing. He didn't even know what a Brazilian wax was. He had to Google that. And so it really was the numbers behind that. And Hello Sugar will hone in on the rest.
So, of course, numbers matter. So that brings me to my next question now. When someone decides to invest in Hello Sugar, what kind of financial commitments are they looking at? And here's the fun part, what kind of returns can they expect to see once they're up and running?
Absolutely. So another thing that's super unique to Hello Sugar is our launch strategy. As most of you may know, if you're already in the business world, launching a flagship, your typical brick and mortar space, takes about a year to build. And so Hello Sugar starts in a salon suite concept. A salon suite's a 10 by 10 room. You can launch within 60 days and then incubate. It's really there to mitigate your risk. You're incubating that salon suite, you're seasoning your staff, you're building your clientele, and then you're transforming that into that flagship once that flagship's ready to go. And so you're really mitigating your risk with that because you're proving the business model in that market. And so because of that, our initial investment for a salon suite with a
Mhm.
franchise fee is roughly anywhere between 90 to 110,000. And
Mhm.
then flagship, this is without a salon suite, so you'll see some efficiencies here as well. But a flagship is anywhere between 269 to 614. And so our end goal really is the flagship. So I'm going to focus on the flagship numbers there. Our average revenue for a flagship is about 725,000. Typically, you're going to see anywhere between 4 to 6 rooms in a flagship. And a flagship is a 1,200 square foot space. You're going to be in, those high foot traffic areas where you have those fitness boutique concepts, etc. And because of our amazing reception, our marketing efficiencies, and our education, and
Mhm.
your focus is really solely on that leadership, you're netting about a 23% on average.
And you'll talk more about this when our clients connect with you, right? In details.
Absolutely. We have, yeah, our item 19, we have a 16-page item 19. So we definitely
Mhm.
have a ton of, line item by line item and really telling the story behind them.
No, absolutely. I'd love to ask you more questions about it outside of our podcast. But for the essence of time, I'm just trying to make sure that we're able to extract all the basic information that would help our future clients. So for the essence of times, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next question, which is about services. Waxing versus sugaring. You've already mentioned a bit about it, but I think many of our listeners, they might be wondering, what's the real difference between the two, and why do clients keep coming back for these treatments?
Yeah. So our motto, which you can see right here, is that it hurts less here. And it hurts less because we find what's best for the client's skin. And so really waxing works great for some people, sugaring works great for others as well. And so an esthetician is trained on proprietary pain management techniques, and they can really see based on their hair type and their skin type what's going to work best for your skin. And so right now we have about a 55 to 45% split between waxing and sugaring, waxing being the 55. And really, it's, hey, how can I end up eventually doing sugaring? Because I started out as a waxing client. And then, eventually I became sugaring. Sugaring is a different technique. For those of you that don't know, I'll sort of demonstrate, but usually it's molded onto your skin and you
Mhm.
mold it a few times and then it's flicked off. And you're using the same ball of sugar until it gets just full of hair. Obviously, you'll grab a new ball. And so that's what's really different from waxing. The nice thing about sugar, too, is it's pulled with your hair growth without getting too much in the techniques. It's a more organic, healthier form for sensitive skin. And it does hurt less. And so, with that being said, our estheticians are trained on figuring out, hey, what works best for this client's skin? Because sugaring may not work best for people as well. And how can we make this service comfortable for clients?
Is there a difference in hair growth removal? I mean, like the amount of time it would take for hair to grow back. Like I'm not sure the difference between
Yeah,
waxing and sugaring.
typically it takes a little bit longer to grow back with sugaring.
Okay.
But again, everyone's hair and skin is different. So it could be similar. Hey, I sugar, you wax, we may still be on the same hair growth cycle, but your hair growth cycle is typically on a 28-day cycle. And so because hair grows back on a monthly basis, Hello Sugar does have a recurring revenue model, which is great for franchisees because you have those clients coming back in every month.
Mm-hmm. I actually have been waxing for years. I think I might test out the sugaring. Let's see how it goes.
Yes, Dimple, we need to try it out, especially since you've been consistent.
Anna, I've always been curious about how brands maintain quality across multiple locations. How does Hello Sugar ensure that every single client, no matter which location they visit, are getting the same amazing experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. So typically, when a franchisee opens, our certified corporate trainer flies out to their location and trains their staff. And so that corporate certified trainer, I mean, they are in the weeds at our corporate locations day in and day out. And so having that corporate trainer on site with new estheticians in a new market is really,
Mhm.
really just super helpful when it comes to, hey, let's make sure that resilience and everything stays consistent across a brand. Now, we also have certification programs where,
Mhm.
let's say, Dimple, every year you want to make sure your estheticians are still staying consistent on the Hello Sugar brand. We'll get them recertified specifically on Brazilian waxes and sugars. Now, it could be, hey, let's say, have an esthetician that maybe has consistently received negative reviews.
Mhm.
That's kind of a concern, right? And I'm not an esthetician. So, how can I get that esthetician to do better? I'll send them to go get recertified, make sure that they're staying consistent to the brand and so forth. And so, specifically with the waxing and sugaring, that's how we stay consistent with that across the nation. Now,
Mhm.
when it comes to protocols and things like that, Hello Sugar, it's really a family-like culture here. We have weekly meetings for franchisees. So, we're consistently rolling out, new innovations, numbers, data, reviewing them, and sort of highlighting, any franchisees and so forth. And then we also have monthly Zoom calls. And so those monthly Zoom calls are really
Mhm.
welcoming franchisees that are here, giving new updates that Hello Sugar is launching, and sort of reviewing data. And hey, here's what we're really working on this month. The leadership. I mean, this is going to sound biased, but our leadership team is just awesome, and they're consistently working on really refining the efficiencies for franchisees, increasing
Mhm.
profits, and decreasing expenses.
That's pretty nice, Anna. So is staff retention, hiring recruitment a challenge? Because I think based on your listening to your thoughts, I feel that the kind of assets you need to recruit, they should be estheticians, have a specialized background. So is that a challenge for you to find the right professionals, or is it pretty easy to navigate that
No,
aspect?
that's a great question. That I would say is, as a franchisee, that is my biggest challenge. And not necessarily finding them. Getting estheticians to apply for a Hello Sugar job is not hard, but finding those quality estheticians, it is tough. And really,
Mhm.
where Hello Sugar comes in and supports on this is we have a very robust hiring program. And so, like, even before an esthetician gets a first interview, we're administering a personality test. And the reason for this is, hey, let's say you come back and you get a scientist personality. Well, with the scientist personality, you may not make my client feel comfortable at a first impression, right? It's their first time getting a wax. They're naked on a table. You need to make them feel comfortable. So, do you have that bubbly personality? Do you have the ability to make them comfortable? And that's really where we hone in with that personality test. Hello Sugar is an all-inclusive company. So, do you feel comfortable performing services on males? And then, with that being said, do you have sales background? I mentioned that hair grows back on a monthly basis. Are you able to sell these clients that Hello Sugar is bringing in the door on a membership? And a membership is a no-brainer. So really, are you able to convert that client? And are they going to want to come back and see you next month and save money while doing so? And so those are sort of the main three questions we ask before even getting to the first interview. Now, if they check all those boxes on those questions, great, let's do the first interview. And then the second interview is a sales interview. And that's where they'll receive training. It's a virtual training through our Hello Sugar University e-learning platform. And they'll receive about an hour training on MCR sales, which is our membership conversion rate sales. And then from there, the second interview is essentially a role play. So I'll really start it off and I'll be like, hey, Dimple, you're my esthetician. I'm your client. Sell me a membership. And they'll walk through that sales process. And that's really where we can hone in on, hey, these are quality estheticians. Now, that's not to guarantee you're going to get the best estheticians of all time. There may still be some bad apples there, but for the most part, I would say that really gives you the best of the best estheticians through that hiring process. And we do have an HR consultant guiding franchise candidates through that interview process when it comes to that first round of interviews.
So, Anna, just out of curiosity, so I think you said you're not in the esthetician background. You don't come with that background, but yet you have your own location, which is amazing. So, in the event that you're short staff, how do you navigate around those situations? Because it requires certifications, right, to perform on client. And I think from my understanding, estheticians, they do go through cosmetology or a beauty school to get their certifications. So I'm just curious, in the event that you're short staff, how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I'm short-staffed, I'm essentially screwed, really. Like we always say, if you hire when you need it, it's too late. You want to hire and anticipate hiring before you even think you need it. And so if let's say you have an esthetician who's pregnant and she's going to end up being on leave in 3 months, you want to anticipate that and hire so forth. If you have an esthetician that's maybe consistently struggling with membership sales and you're going to have to let her go, you're going to want to
Mhm.
hire before having to let her go. And so it's really anticipating it. If I'm short staffed and let's say I have an esthetician call out sick and no one can cover, unfortunately, I'm not an esthetician, so I can't go in there and service those clients myself. Otherwise, I absolutely would. And so in that case, you have to reschedule them and have them go with the next available esthetician. So it is unfortunate. That is our biggest risk, I would say. But that's why you really, as a franchise owner, you really do want to anticipate that. And again, hire in anticipation and not when it's too late.
Anna, I actually love your honesty. I've actually spoken to other franchisees about different concepts, of course, and a lot of them tend to go in panic mode. But I love how, how you brutally laid out that, hey, if it's not available, it's not available. We'll reschedule.
Yeah,
And, yeah, it's a nice approach, so.
for sure. It's definitely the biggest headache. Like I will say, there's times where I've had an esthetician call out, no one can cover. And I'm like, well, I just lost a day of revenue, right?
Mhm.
But I would say I'm still in a salon suite, if in case I didn't make that clear. So I will say being in a flagship, you will have better efficiencies with that because if an
Mhm.
esthetician calls out, you're going to have probably two or three other estheticians working,
Mhm.
assuming you have 4 to 6 rooms and really just based on a bunch of different variables. But if you have other estheticians working and they have gaps, you can also just move those clients over there. In a salon suite, if you have 1 or 2 rooms and you only have one esthetician working, you're kind of like you're in a nutshell. You can't really do much in that case, right? And so I will say that's also the benefit of being in a flagship. I am in the process of currently looking for a flagship, but I will say those are the efficiencies with the flagship because usually in that case you can either A, have an on-call system where you have an
Mhm.
esthetician on call. Hey, let's say I have 10 estheticians in a flagship space. Hey, you guys all need to fill up the month for on-call shifts. So everyone please pick a few on-call shifts or however you really want to manage that. Every franchisee has the autonomy. But it's easier in a flagship because you're going to have more rooms and more staff available at once.
Mhm. So, running a business, it's never a solo venture. And I know we've touched upon some of these things, but out of curiosity, how do you support franchisees on their journey from their first day to long after they've opened their doors? Like, what kind of trainings and marketing help can they expect from Hello Sugar team?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, from a high level view, before I kind of dive into the nitty gritty, but from a high level view, you really think any franchise network, you're going into a family. You're in a 10-year marriage, you're signing with, let's just say it's Hello Sugar in this case. And it's, hey, do I see myself, really connecting with these people? And that's something that we look for too. Does this person fit our culture? Do they pass the vibe check per se, right? And so from a high level view, you're really coming into a franchise network where you're going to have other franchisees. Hello Sugar has strong franchisee validation, and so you're coming into a network of people that are happy, people that work full-time jobs, so they all come from different backgrounds. And
Mhm.
then our leadership team, like I mentioned earlier, they are also franchisees. Our onboarding director, who, if any of you guys come with a franchise, you'll see my face first, and then you'll go with John Glazier, who is our onboarding director. John's a franchisee himself. He owns over, I think, I want to say it's for sure over 5 units. He's in the Denver market in Boise, Idaho. And John is an amazing resource when it comes to onboarding. And so he really guides you guys from -3 months. So you sign, you pay. Now I pass you over to John and Emily. Um, and they're really kind of guiding you guys through that onboarding process. You're learning the systems. We have an entire course that guides you through it as well. But if you need a resource, they're there for you. And so they're helping you from -3 months to 3 months. And so that's even after you're open. Hey, I'm guiding you through how should you evaluate these KPIs? What are these numbers telling me, etc. And so the support just there in itself is really helpful. And even after you guys are open, Hello Sugar is so strong and we firmly believe in franchisee success that Brigham actually hired Jacob Perry, who we call our CGO. He's our Chief Growth Officer. And his main responsibility is increasing profits for franchisees and decreasing expenses. And as a franchisee, I'm considered mature. So I've been open for over 6 months. And I can connect with Jacob anytime. And we can review my profit and loss statement, kind of see, hey, your inventory was a little too high. Walk me through why your percentage was here. Or, hey, your payroll, your COGS is looking solid. Like, let's keep this up. And so really kind of strategically making those decisions and also strategically making those decisions as you guys choose to grow, as those salons are being converted into flagships, as we're putting up more salon suites in different territories to convert into flagships. And that's his role. It's strategically guiding you, from there. In addition to obviously, we have WhatsApp channels where you can connect with all the franchisees. There's constantly noise in there, which is awesome because it's beneficial noise. And so it's really, you're signing into a family and we want literally everyone to succeed.
That's wonderful. So Anna, the beauty industry is constantly changing, like new trends, new demands. So how is Hello Sugar staying ahead of the curve? Like, what trends do you think will have the biggest impact on your services in the next few years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but AI. AI and technology is huge. I'm sure there's a lot of noise in any industry right now with AI and technology. Hello Sugar is currently at a 64% automation
Mhm.
with our reception, which is huge. We actually received an award at a AI tech conference recently. I'm not the one overseeing that, so I don't know all the gist of it, but it's huge. I mean, our AI, it's super robust.
Mhm.
Now, is the client experience so smooth and wonderful for clients, but even for franchisees, Hello Sugar has rolled out a robot. We call her Sky AI. As a franchisee, I can ask, hey, I forgot how to set up my esthetician's commissions, for example, and it'll tell me exactly how to do it. And we also have one for estheticians, and we call her SD Bestie. And we train that AI. And so if an esthetician forgets to do a nose wax because they haven't done a nose wax in forever, they can just quickly say, hey, can you remind me of the nose wax protocol? And it'll pull up the entire nose wax protocol. And so I think specifically with technology, we're absolutely ahead of the curve. Currently, to my knowledge, we are the only waxing, hair removal, sugaring, laser, um, hair removal concept that is completely receptionless. And so specifically with that, we're definitely on top of that curve. And I mentioned earlier, we just launched laser.
I
And
was just
so
gonna say actually, yes.
yeah, why did we launch laser? Well, Hello Sugar is huge on data, and we really only make decisions based on data.
Mhm.
And we noticed that 10% of our membership cancellations were due to people wanting to go try out laser. And so, Brigham Dallas seeing this number and trying to figure out, hey, what the heck is going on? Why are people wanting to try out laser? And how is rolling out laser going to benefit us? What's the investment look like? What do the profits look like, et cetera? And after seeing these, laser was a no-brainer. It's still fairly new. We launched it, I would say, 4-ish months ago, maybe 3.
Okay.
So it's still fairly new. We're still rolling a lot of things out, but it's a no-brainer. And we actually just launched laser, I want to say, in 5 franchise locations now. And then there's quite a few corporate locations that have laser as well. Um, so it's great. I currently don't have laser in my location yet, but I definitely plan on launching it in the next 2 months or so.
Mhm.
But again, it's still new, so there's still a little logistics that we have to work out. But just that in itself is, hey, how can we have all the hair removal concepts under one roof? And what are the
Mhm.
benefits of that? And so with data and with research, we've analyzed that there's huge benefits to it. Not every state can do it. I will throw that out there. There are some states where the regulations are a lot more strict. Maybe they need a
Mhm.
nurse to provide it or things like that. But we do have that research on our end. And so if you are looking to franchise and you're curious if it'll work in your state, let us know.
That's amazing. Definitely that AI and integration of laser technology will give you a competitive edge. So I'm glad Brigham is doing that. Now, thinking about growth, are there any regions or markets where you're particularly excited to expand? I'm sure listeners from all over the country are wondering if there's an opportunity in their area.
Yeah, guys, there's opportunity in a ton of areas. I will say some of the West Coast is pretty sold out, Arizona being one of those, Utah being one of those. But outside of that, I mean, we are really eager to expand. I would say the East Coast, um, Northeast Coast is really where we're honing in on right now. But, you could always text in to Dimple or to myself and get an idea to see what that territory check looks like and if there's availability. But guys, we're still an emerging brand, so there's still plenty of growth in a lot of markets around the states.
Fantastic. So Anna, with so many players in the beauty space, competition must be fierce. And I wanted to ask you, what is there anything else you can think? Is there anything else that sets Hello Sugar apart from AI and the integration of laser technologies?
I think our launch strategy, starting in a salon suite, mitigating the risk for a franchisee, and then going into that flagship state, really proving your market. I think that's a huge key differentiator. Again, we are the only salon um, beauty company hair removal concept that has waxing and sugaring and now laser under one roof. There's not many concepts out there that have that. Our client experience is very smooth and it's efficient. I think a lot of the concepts out there, specifically in the hair removal category, they still have a receptionist. So as a franchise owner, you're still worried about that overhead. You're still worried about hiring a minimum wage employee that doesn't care about their job. And because we're receptionists, we're also able to compensate our estheticians better, and really focus on those high quality estheticians. How can I find those high quality estheticians? And so overall, I mean, you pretty much touched on it, Dimple. I would say those are our key differentiators. I could go on and on about many other things. Hello Sugar's branding's different. It's cuter, in my opinion. I would say most people too. We are an all-inclusive company. And I will say again, I think at the end of the day, you really think about the core values of a company. And Hello Sugar's core values have never changed, and they won't. And we're really, really big on, again, that radical transparency, community, being a diverse community. And so there's a lot of things that we're really huge on, and it's being a part of family, kind of honing in on that a little bit. We take annual franchisee trips. And so last year we actually went to Belize. The year before we went to Iceland. And so we have these are, out of the country. I think as we're growing, we've expanded. We're almost at 100 open locations right now. So our next one will probably be like an all-inclusive resort in Mexico or something like that. But just kind of touching in on that, like it's an annual trip because we believe in family. Franchisees come, they bring their kiddos, spouses, etc. And it's really, let me get to meet everyone. Let me get to know the leadership team better if I don't already. And let me meet other franchisees and network with them as well. Maybe there's people that are in a similar market to me. And I think that really speaks to Hello Sugar's culture. And that's really what makes us unique.
That's amazing, Anna. I'm actually quite curious to learn more about it. But before we wrap up, Anna, I'd love to hear your advice for anyone listening who's seriously considering investing in Hello Sugar. What would you tell them to consider as they think about taking the plunge?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, overall, I think, any franchise, if you guys are looking at any franchise, guys, really just kind of focus on the values of the company, right? And what is my task as a franchisee? And so when you guys are looking into Hello Sugar, asking yourself, am I the right fit? And are they a right fit for me, right? And when you're asking yourself that, what makes me the right fit? Well, I do want to lead my team. I do have the capability of leading my team. I love the idea that because Hello Sugar does do a lot. And sometimes as a franchisee, we think, oh, because Hello Sugar is taking care of the reception, because they're taking care of the marketing and the education, I can turn the lights off and walk out. But no, we want you guys to be hands-on. You're not working in the business, but you are working on the business. You want to create that Hello Sugar culture in your community. You want to create that Hello Sugar culture in the city where you guys are expanding. And really, at the end of the day, you're boosting the economy. At the end of the day, you're creating jobs for estheticians with a company that ideally they love and the culture that they want to be a part of. And, really just honing in on that culture aspect and understanding the technologies and how can you evaluate those to make the strategic decisions for your team.
Wonderful. So, I can tell that there's so much exciting stuff happening at Hello Sugar. And Anna, I sincerely thank you for sharing your insights about Hello Sugar with us today. It's such an exciting opportunity for those looking to invest in the beauty industry. And I'm sure our listeners gained a lot of valuable information from our conversation today.
I hope so. Yeah. Call to action if any of you guys are interested. Dimple is also a consultant, so I know Dimple has quite a few other brands on her hands. But really feel free to reach out to Dimple, myself, or our Front Street team. Hello Sugar is now partnered with Front Street, and reach out, see if your territory is available, and we'd love to take care of you guys.
So thank you so much, Anna. And for anyone interested in exploring the possibility of owning Hello Sugar franchise, I'd love to guide you through the process. As a franchise consultant, my services are completely free of cost for clients as I'm compensated by the brands I work with. So I'm here to help you take the next step, set up a meeting, and provide personalized assistance as you learn more. And you can also reach me directly at kgsbusinessconsultants@gmail.com. feel free to call me at 515-708-0433 or simply visit my website at kgs-consultants.org. And you'll also find all my contact information in the description below. By reaching out to me directly, I can assure you that you get the full support you need while exploring this exciting opportunity. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Anna, and all our listeners for tuning in. I look forward to connecting with those who are interested in taking the next step towards owning a Hello Sugar franchise.
Thank you, Dimple. I appreciate it.